And then the best identity document would be the one that has the highest rated credibility attributes. Clearly that's something for future research, but just to point out, where that comes from and where it would go. All right, getting a little bit now into the specific methodology here. I actually used a sample of 10 banks and credit unions in Southeast Florida, actually in the 4 Southeast states. 4 Southeast counties, sorry. West Palm Beach, or I should say Palm Beach, Broward, Monroe. Only 8 of them chose to participate when I contacted them. The first round of interviews that I did, that was the process of eliciting the constructs of credibility. Each entity selected 2 to 8 employees based on, I said to them, I want to talk to the people who have the most experience dealing with identity documents. So they selected anywhere from 2 to 8 people each. So there were a total of 33 people that I spoke to, for about an hour each. And the average experience was probably about 20, maybe 18 years. The minimum was 10 years. Then in the second round of interviews, I came back to the experts, to the same organizations, and said, I now need help in just rating these attributes. Here, I said to them, I don't need people who are that much experienced now, because I already established what the attributes are. I just want people to tell me how important they are, each one. But there was a minimum of 5 years experience, and there was a total of 38 people in that round of interviews.
This is in branches or in individual banks?
Sorry, say again?
This came in individual branches or in banks?
10 banks. I mean, I went to, actually one of the banks who gave me 8 people, I went to 8 different branches of the bank across the 4 different counties. So, yeah.
You went back to the same, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You went back to the same banks. Are we allowed to ask questions?
Go ahead.
So you went back to the same banks and interviewed different people, right?
For the second round,
Yeah.
it was primarily the same people, but there were some additional ones, that's all.
And why did you do that?
Just because at that stage, for that step, I didn't need the same level of experience. And I was trying to just get a slightly broader sample, that's all.
You just said you interviewed some of the same people you interviewed before.
Sure.
Why is that?
Because remember now, after I came out to that first round of interviews, I've gotten these attributes from actually from 33 different people across 8 different banks. So now I'm going back to, in some cases, the same people, in some cases others, but saying, this is the combined list of attributes that all of you told me are important. Rate for me the importance of each one.
So to clarify that question, does it make a difference if they are the same people or different people in the 2 rounds? In the methodology, is that
significant for the
is
methodology?
that they are the same people, or can it be different people?
It can
Or
be
should it
different.
be different people?
No, it can be different people. It doesn't have to be the same because the steps are not dependent on each other in a sense. The first step is independent of the second step. Having identified those attributes, now I could have gone to a completely different set of people who are experts in the field and said, rate them for me. Right? I mean, it doesn't, because the steps are independent, they don't have to be the same people. Okay.
Another clarification, I want you to make it clear, transition from the previous slide to this slide.
Yes, sure.
Where are you going with this? So the previous slide asks us some questions, but they don't appear to be, okay, explain now.
Sure.
You're now doing an empirical study. You're taking a sample, and you're doing an empirical study.
Right.
What do you expect to get out of this with respect to the research questions?
Okay, what I expect to get from this is essentially the answers to research question 1 is to identify the attributes that seem to make identity documents credible. So that's one thing I expect to get. That's going to be the attributes of credibility that I'm going to talk about later on. The second round of interviews that we were just talking about, when I now go back to the experts and say, tell me how important each of those attributes are, that's the answer to the second question. So the first round of interviews that I did gives me the answer to the first question. The second round of interviews that I did gives me the answer to the second question.
Okay, given this sample, it gives you an answer.
An
Is
answer,
it
yes.
the answer, and what is the difference between an
Answer and the answer, sure. No, it doesn't give me the answer. Okay, it gives me an answer. The difference being that the answer would suggest that there are no other possible attributes in the case of the first question, which is not so. There may be other attributes that didn't come out in the process that I did, in the interview process that I did. However, it gives me an answer, and the likelihood is that it gives me a good answer, and that's supported by the fact that there was consensus among the different people that I interviewed. I'm not trying to make a case here for a statistically based conclusion. No, that's not what I'm doing here. Okay.
So how is this, go on slide 10. What I'm trying to get you to tell us is how sensitive, I want you to motivate why you're doing this and tell us how sensitive it is to the choice of sample.
The motivation for, when you say motivate?
We're doing this, why are you doing these interviews? Why are you doing the empirical study?
Okay. The empirical study that I'm doing, when I do this kind of interview, I mentioned that it's based on the repertory grade interview method. It's a methodology that was originally designed for psychologists, for therapists, to interview people who have, who are troubled, who are mentally troubled, and who have a unique view of the world, of their world. And this process is a process that we go through to try and understand how people, these special people, see their world. I'm applying the methodology here because I'm trying to understand how the experts, as special people, how they see their world of identity, document, credibility. Okay, so that's the basis for the methodology that I use. I am taking the approach of classifying the experts as being specialists in their world, and I'm trying to understand how these specialists see that world. Does that answer the motivation?
Not quite. What do you expect to get out of this exercise of doing this?
Okay, as a result of doing this, I'm getting these people to tell me in their own words. I'm not going in with any predefined notion
of the exercise itself.
Of the
entire
entire
exercise. What is it going to do regarding your scientific contribution?
It's going to tell me. It's going to tell me what characteristics. So you have to remember that when all is said and done here, it's individuals, it's people who are making judgments about these identity documents. So what it's telling me is how these people evaluate the documents that they look at. It tells me about what they look for, and it tells me about how they evaluate those things that they look for.
Ron, you got a question?
I guess, looking between those two things, one is trying to elicit the concepts, but it's not trying to rate them in any way. The second phase is where you're actually...
Is where I'm rating them. That's correct.
And I guess you probably need the two phases because you don't, if from the literature you had a bunch of ideas already, then you could simply have done the second phase. But in this case, you don't have that.
Right. And in fact, I'm trying to get rid of the researcher bias by using this methodology, actually. By going in and not having that bias and just saying to these experts, tell me in your words about your world. And then I try to record that. And that's what the repertory is doing.
I think to balance, I can sense there's some questions from our visitors as well.
Yes, sure.
What we'll do, because we're under the time constraint, we'll keep the first part of it limited to the committee, and then afterwards, after 1 o'clock or so, we'll have an open question session, so then everybody can dig in and cut it out. Okay?
Okay, sure. Did that answer the question you're asking? Ron, did I answer your question?